Hey squad, today we've got an exciting series that'll blow your mind. Hit that subscribe button, smash the like, and let's jump right in. It's gonna be great. Let us see episode 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Avatar: The Last Airbender's first episode. A chase scene through the capital city of the Fire Nation opens season 1. An earthbending man is being pursued by firebending soldiers through the streets. He is apprehended and brought before Fire Lord Sozin. The Fire Lord discloses his scheme to kill him, find the unidentified airbending avatar, and go to war with the entire world. He kills the earthbender with flames. Aang, a young airbender, might not be prepared for the duty of controlling all 4 elements and maintaining world peace according to the opening credits, which also explain the avatar's cycle. Gyatso, Aang's mentor, has a conversation with the Airbending Council at the Southern Air Temple. Although he doesn't believe Aang is prepared for the role of Avatar, they might not be able to wait to begin his training. Aang receives the news from Monk Gyatso. Aang, rattled by the news and terrified of the responsibility, boards a plane with his friend Appa, an air bison. A few moments afterward, the Southern Air Temple is unexpectedly attacked by the Fire Nation. The Firebenders are more powerful due to the force of Sozin's comet in the sky. They succeed in taking control of the entire temple, and Monk Gyatso loses his life to protect some kids. When Aang and Appa get caught in a storm, a massive wave sweeps them away. Aang instantly turns blue and wraps himself in an ice ball just before drowning. We first meet Katara and her brother Sokka at Wolf Cove in the Southern Water Tribe. As they go fishing, Sokka advises her to conceal her ability to bend water. An iceberg bursts, shooting a blue light beam into the sky. This appears to please a young Fire Nation boy who has a scar on his face. Out of the shattered iceberg, Aang comes, unconscious. Despite Sokka's objections, Katara insists they bring him back to the village. Prince Zuko, the young boy with scars, was exiled from the Fire Nation and left behind until he could locate the Avatar. Iroh, his uncle, takes care of him. Aang awakens, perplexed by his new surroundings and as though from a nightmare. Aang is informed by Katara's grandmother that he is the final airbender and has been frozen for 100 years. The ship of Zuko sails toward Wolf Cove. Reluctantly, Sokka conceals Aang, but Zuko defeats him in combat. Aang steps up and offers his life to protect the tribe of water people. After a brief conversation between Iroh and Aang on Zuko's ship, Aang makes his getaway with the aid of Appa. Katara and Sokka accompany Aang to the Southern Air Temple since they are unable to go back home. When Aang finds Gyatso's bones, he is filled with sorrow and turns blue once more, calling forth great power. Recalling his relationship with Gyatso eases his anxiety. Aang makes a balance to bring harmony to the world and study the ways of the Avatar. Prince Zuko is on a rampage at the start of Avatar: The Last Airbender Episode 2. After breaking free, Aang took his notebook. Aang makes the decision to go see Avatar Kyoshi at his house using Zuko's notebook. He is persuaded by Katara to stay with Aang instead of going back home. After giving Monk Gyatso his due respects, Aang and the others depart for Kyoshi Island. To Sokka's dismay, a flying lemur from the island joins them. He is called Momo by Aang. Zuko receives coaching from Uncle Iroh on the value of sticky rice and the art of tact rather than force. Upon reaching the island, Aang, Sokka, and Katara are taken prisoner by a lethal faction of non-benders known as the Kyoshi Warriors. Suki, a young lady, persuades Yukari, her mother, to grant them permission to stay for 48 hours. There is a romantic tension between Suki and Sokka. Commander Zhao and Iroh's meeting does not go well. Zhao discovers a lead on the Avatar and grows suspicious of them. Aang discovers that he possesses the ability to access his past avatars. The glow reappears in deep meditation, and he receives instruction from Avatar Kyoshi herself. She explains to him that the glow is the avatar state, which enables him to channel and access the strength and wisdom of all previous avatars. But before he can use this power, he needs to put in a lot of training and become an expert at bending every element. Commander Zhao shows up while Aang continues to exist as an avatar. The Kyoshi warriors attack as he and his soldiers are getting ready to search the town for an outsider. Aang is located by Zuko and Iroh at Kyoshi's shrine. After a fight, Zuko overcomes Katara, but Aang uses Avatar Kyoshi's power to save the day. He actually turns into Kyoshi herself in its entirety. The Fire Nation soldiers flee after her. Aang departs Kyoshi Island, having gained a clearer understanding of his responsibilities. In an attempt to protect them from an enigmatic threat he perceived during his meditation, he is traveling to the Northern Water Tribe. Suki kisses Sokka and gives him a steel folding fan, which is the Kyoshi warrior's emblematic weapon. Now, Sokka is adamant that she will remain with Momo, Appa, Katara, and Aang. Commander Zhao is adamant that Zuko and Iroh collaborate in order to capture the Avatar, but Zhao informs Fire Lord Ozai in a letter that the Avatar has made a comeback. Omashu depicts the end of a deception, as Princess Azula leads a group of rebels to defeat Fire Lord Ozai, while Katara struggles to master waterbending forms and Zuko struggles to agree on a plan to capture the Avatar. Aang and his companions enter Earth Kingdom City Omashu secretly, chasing what appears to be another airbender. Apparently, Teo is not an airbender. In an invention created by his father Sai, he soars. Amid a bombing by Fire Nation, they cross paths. Aang chooses to stay and lend a hand. We get to know Mai and Ty Lee, Azula's pals. If Zuko finds the Avatar, Azula fears he will be the next in line for the throne. When Katara runs into Jet, the boy who assisted them in sneaking into Omashu, she finds out that Sai is communicating covertly with the people of Fire. They locate Sai's contacts and enlist Jet's crew to assist them in combat. Teo and Aang learn that the explosion was caused by someone else. Jet and Katara become close through their shared experiences of wartime loss. When bending, Jet advises her to think back on her mother's positive traits prior to her passing. This enables her to successfully create the water whip in the end. It's unclear to Sokka, Aang, and Katara who was responsible for the explosion, Jet or Sai. As Iroh and Zuko arrive in Omashu, Zhao begins to plot with Azula. Jet says it is to blame for the explosions. He intends to blow up the king and Sai for their plot to work with the Fire Nation. While Sokka and Katara go to save Sai and Teo, Zuki and Iroh engage Aang in conversation. Zuko and Aang fight, but in order to protect himself from the Earth Nation, Zuko cannot use firebending. Zuko starts to set fire to himself and has to run away when Aang admits that he has read his journal. Sokka and Katara ascend Omashu using the enormous delivery slides. Longshot tries to ignite the bomb with a fire arrow, but Katara is able to stop it with the water whip technique. The Earth King, Sai, and Teo are all spared. To get the soldiers to move away from Zuko, Iroh freely firebends. Unexpectedly, soldiers from Earth Nation capture Aang. Aang and Iroh discuss the war in Omashu's dungeons. Sai confesses to his sons that he worked with the Fire Nation. The Earth King summons Aang, who discovers King Bumi as Aang's childhood friend, making him 110 years old. Bumi is a bit enigmatic. Once more, Katara and Jet discuss Jet's plan to blow up Sai and King Bumi. She abandons him after freezing him to a wooden stand. In order to save Uncle Iroh, Zuko sneaks into the dungeons wearing the uniform of an Earth soldier. Sokka and Katara discover the tale of the two lovers who founded Omashu in an effort to save Aang. A musician narrates the tale and directs them to proceed via the secret tunnel through the mountain. As he makes his way to the pit, Zuko doubles back to catch up with Iroh. After discovering the White Lotus tile Iroh purchased, Zuko drops it to let him know where he is. Because of his previous involvement in the Battle of Ba Sing Se, Iroh suffers abuse along the way. Despite being accused of being callous, a flashback depicts him lamenting his son's passing. After fighting in the tunnels, Sokka and Katara have a heart-to-heart. Bumi chastises Aang for missing a century of warfare while subjecting him to a string of absurd games. The two engage in combat to the death as its conclusion. Iroh and Zuko defeat the Earth Kingdom together after Zuko catches up to them. The soldier who attempted to kill Iroh is spared. Iroh is injured by the soldier. Through the tunnels erupted the giant badger moles that had taught Oma and Shu earthbending. Katara and Sokka are guided to the palace by them. King Bumi makes it apparent that his games were a way for him to vent his resentment at Aang for leaving him behind. He desired to impart to Aang the experience of having to make unfeasible choices. Because friends aren't always trustworthy, Bumi tries to make Aang kill him or let himself die. Katara and Sokka show up right then. Aang can save himself and spare King Bumi with their assistance. In response, Aang says that the only way he can save the world is by leaning on his friends. Aang still has the bison whistle that Bumi made for him as well. This impresses Bumi. Sai alerts King Bumi about the spies from the Fire Nation in Omashu. As a result, the Earth Kingdom can get ready for an approaching attack. Iroh and Zuko consider their friendship and how they supported one another following the passing of Iroh's son. In addition, Iroh supported Zuko during his recent facial injury when he was compelled to go on this mission. Opens with a brief battle with soldiers from Fire Nation. Katara's strength as a waterbender is increasing. Because the firebenders are still destroying the world, Aang feels bad. A neighboring village laments the sickness of the forest and the disappearance of people. Aang claims that the issue is with the spirit world and offers his assistance. Fire Lord Ozai sees through Azula's sly flattery as a bid for her own coronation. The group discovers a shrine dedicated to the forest spirit. The three of them enter the spirit world while Aang meditates. Everyone knows that the Avatar has returned. Zuko finds out, arriving a mercenary June and her enormous hunting Shushu. June is hired by Iroh and Zuko to locate Aang. Aang receives a warning from the owl spirit of knowledge that Sokka and Katara shouldn't be in the spirit world. The gang is then attacked by the enraged spirit of the forest. Katara experiences her mother's passing again. Sokka relives his transformation into a warrior of the water tribe. His father questions his leadership skills because he barely passed. A man wearing a terrifying mask approaches them both. Due to his spiritual strength, Aang is able to withstand being pulled back to his hometown. Subsequently, the eerie mask-wearing man reveals his identity as Ko, the face stealer, a terrible, sly creature. After running away, Aang stumbles upon a hut. Gyatso is waiting for him inside. Gyatso reveals that Ko traps people in their darkest memories by using the mist of lost souls. To eat them, he has brought Katara, Sokka, and the villagers to his lair. Gyatso gives Aang such wise advice that it also resonates with and applies to Zuko and Azula. After leaving the spirit realm, Aang sets out to save his friends' souls. Zuko, before his scar, appeared happier and excited for his first battle strategy meeting. Zhao, promoted from commander to admiral, superseded Zuko's authority, leaving the crew happy but unaware of the sacrifices made by Zuko. Aang visits Avatar Roku's Firebender shrine, where monks attack Aang. Shu, a humble man, holds off the monks while Aang contacts Roku. Roku informs Aang of a totem he stole from Ko, hoping to trade it for Katara and Sokka. However, June captures Aang and turns him over to Iroh and Zuko. Years ago, during a meeting on battle strategy, Zuko speaks uninvited. He describes as terrible a general's plan to sacrifice an entire battalion. As a penance, Ozai commands Zuko to battle a Agni Kai. Aang is taken over by Zhao. Iroh advises waiting before attempting to take back the Avatar. A mysterious figure wearing a blue mask enters the fortress where Aang is being held captive covertly and releases him. They battle their way to the main entrance. When the blue spirit threatens to kill Aang, Zhao lets them go because he needs the Avatar to survive. Zuko is made visible after an archer breaks through the blue spirit's mask with a blow. Zuko is taken to safety by Aang. While Zuko heals in a barn, Aang tries his hardest to become close to him. In a flashback, Zuko discovers that instead of facing the general he insulted, he will be facing his own father. When they fight, Zuko has the opportunity to burn his father, but he chooses not to. As punishment, Zuko gets a serious burn on his face. Then, unless Zuko returns with the Avatar, Ozai banishes him from the Fire Nation. Aang asks Zuko from the shore if they could have been friends in a different situation when he arrives on his boat. In return, Zuko launches an assault. All Aang does is shove his boat off. Iroh relates the tale of Zuko's scar to their crew's lieutenant, who despises Zuko and clarifies that they are the battalion designated for sacrifice. Only because Zuko defended them do they still exist. They all bow down to Zuko when he comes back. While saving Katara and Sokka, Aang gives Ko back the totem. All the other villagers go back to their homes. Lieutenant G warns Zuko about treason arrest by the Fire Nation. Zuko escapes on a lifeboat, but Zhao leaks the information, rigged with blasting jelly, and the boat explodes, indicating Zuko's death. These days, Aang is more resigned to the fact that he lacks experience. He expresses gratitude to his friends, whom Katara refers to as Team Avatar. When they get to the Northern Water Tribe, they already know that the Fire Nation poses a serious threat. Iroh believes Ozai is responsible for Zuko's death, and Zhao promises to launch an attack on the Northern Water Tribe. Speaking with Master Paku, Katara expresses empathy for her difficulties. Yue walks up to Sokka. Following their conversation, he recalls that a three-tailed fox wearing her headdress conversed with him in the spirit realm. The leaders of the Water Tribe are dissatisfied with Aang's lack of preparation and training. Katara discovers that women from the north are not permitted to learn combat, but she does learn how to heal wounds with waterbending. At his shrine, Aang converses with Avatar Kuruk. Kuruk cautions Aang that if he doesn't follow his path by himself, his loved ones will suffer. Yue admits to Sokka that the fox he saw is actually her. The moon spirit gave its essence to Yue so that it could survive as a baby. Thus, Yue's dreams can take her to the spirit world. She gives Sokka a kiss. Katara is not allowed to train or fight with Master Paku. Katara is told by Aang that she shouldn't fight and that it's best for everyone if he stays by himself. Although Zhao's attack strategy against the Water Tribe is bold, he disregards Iroh's advice. Under the armor of Fire Nation, realization, Zuko is still alive. He's determined to show his abilities and innocence, but he has no intention of taking the Avatar. Iroh believes Zhao is someone's pawn. Azula has had enough of Ozai's treatment of her. She demands an opportunity to shine and has the mastery ability to bend lighting. Ozai gladly obliges. Katara and Sokka find support in one another. Katara issues Pakku a challenge to combat. Even though Katara is holding her own in this epic duel, Pakku still won't allow her to engage in combat. Aang is informed by Katara and Sokka that it is entirely up to him how he wants to live as the Avatar. Furthermore, they are family, so it is natural for them to worry about one another's safety, but nobody can stop Katara from fighting. They are fighting side by side each other. Team Avatar quickly defeats a Fire Nation battleship in the opening scene of Avatar, The Last Airbender's season finale, Legends. The Fire Nation is bombing the Water Tribe's ice wall as Zuko tries to slip into the city. At last, Master Pakku chooses to allow the women to contribute more directly to the war effort. He even dispatches young men to fight as Katara's subordinates. Zhao intends to make the most of the Ice Moon, a celestial occurrence. The veil separating the material world from the spirit realm is thin tonight. Zhao plans to kill the moon spirit with Avatar Kuruk's unique knife. Such elemental spirits, according to Kuruk, are more powerful than the Avatar. After saving a young girl from a falling rock, Momo the flying lemur gets crushed under it. Momo is hurried to a holy grove hot spring by Yue and Sokka. Yue was taken there as a sick infant. Yue heals Momo by immersing him in the holiest of waters. Relieved, Sokka finally confesses his love for Momo. Iroh and Zhao enter the hallowed grove in search of the moon spirit. Zuko takes a stance against Katara. Aang meets Yue and Sokka in the interim. Zhao discovers the spirit of the moon. It appears as a black-dotted white koi fish swimming in a circle with another white-dotted koi fish. The world turns red when Zhao removes the fish from the spring. Zhao kills the moon spirit after Iroh threatens him, and Aang tries to talk sense into his mind. The world turns grey, and none of the waterbenders have any more abilities. Aang offers himself up to the water spirit in a last-ditch effort of desperation. The spirit unleashes its fury on the Fire Nation soldiers through Aang. The spirit will now wander the planet looking for its mate in vain and wreaking havoc wherever it goes. Subsequently, Yue, possessing a portion of the moon spirit, steps into the spring and offers herself as a sacrifice. She transforms into the moon spirit in this way. The waterbenders regain their abilities as the moon rises back to the sky. Aang is freed from his bond with the water spirit when the moon and water, which push and pull on each other, are reunited. Zhao and Zuko fight amid the confusion. After Zhao is defeated by Zuko, he opens up. Zhao has been following Azula's instructions. She participated in the plan to kill Zuko because she was aware that he was the blue spirit. Furthermore, Zuko's quest to seize the Avatar was fraudulent from the start, just illusory optimism. When it proved to be significant, Ozai just used it to inspire Azula. She is currently the heir apparent. Pakku invites Katara to stay and assist in teaching aspiring waterbenders how to be masters after the battle. She declines with grace. Pakku concurs that there is no one better to teach the Avatar when she offers to teach Aang waterbending. After getting back together, Katara and Sokka tell Aang that they must go on. They persuade him that the previous 100 years of warfare are not his fault. Aang feels at last prepared to move past his past and attempt to sculpt the future, recalling lessons learned from Gyatso. As a diversion, Ozai attacked the Northern Water Tribe, which led to Omashu's conquest. Overlooking a Nelt, chained King Bumi is Azula. With pride, she queries, "What's next?" Ozai is informed by a monk that Sozin's comet is resurfacing. The Firebenders' increased strength the night they destroyed the Southern Air Temple came from the comet. Ozai will definitely make the most of this impending cosmic event. After episode 8, this series is over, and we will see another fantastic one soon. If you liked what you saw, hit subscribe, drop a like, and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care and stay awesome.